Welcome back to FPGA Discovery and part 4 of FPGA Flash from the ground up. In the previous parts we learned how SPI NOR Flash works, how to communicate with it, and then build our own Verilog SPI controller to read the identification information from the flash chip on the Basys 3. But reading an ID is only the beginning. In this part we're going to use that flash for something more interesting. We're going to store a pixel art sprite in flash, read that sprite with our own Verilog hardware, and display it on a VGA monitor. In part 3, we proved that our controller could communicate with the actual Macronix flash chip on the Basys 3. We sent the read identification command and successfully received C22016. That was an important milestone, but those 3 bytes were just a test. Now we're going to take the next step. Instead of asking the flash what it is, we're going to tell it exactly where our data is stored and read that data back. And this time, those bytes are going to represent actual pixels. Here's the complete architecture we're going to build. Our sprite begins as 1024 bytes stored in the configuration flash. Our Verilog flash controller sends a read command and a 24-bit address and then receives those 1024 bytes over SPI. As the bytes arrive, we store them in block RAM inside the FPGA. Once the sprite has been loaded, our VGA hardware reads those pixels from BRAM and sends them to the monitor. So there are really 2 different types of memory doing 2 different jobs. Flash gives us non-volatile storage, so our sprite survives when the power is removed. BRAM gives us fast on-chip memory that the VGA renderer can access continuously. So flash is for storage, BRAM is for speed. In part F, we use the 9F command to read the JEDEC ID. Now we're going to use the 03 hex read data command. After sending 03, the flash chip expects a 24-bit address. That's 3 address bytes, A23 through A16, A15 through A8, and A7 through A0. For this project, our sprite begins at address 3F0000. So over MOSI, we'll send 03 followed by 3F00 and 00. After that, we don't need to send another address for every byte. We simply continue generating clock pulses, and the flash automatically outputs sequential data from increasing addresses. That's perfect for our sprite. Once we point to the first address containing pixel data, we can simply keep clocking until all 1024 bytes of pixel data have arrived. Now I have to be careful about where we put that sprite because this isn't just any external flash chip. The Macronix flash memory on the Basys 3 is also the configuration memory used to boot the FPGA. Our FPGA configuration image begins at address 0, so we absolutely don't want to place our sprite somewhere that could overwrite it. For this project, we're placing the sprite at address 3F0000 near the top of the 4 megabyte flash address space. Our sprite is only 1024 bytes, so it occupies addresses 3F00 through 3F03FF. This gives us a simple memory map. The FPGA configuration lives at the bottom, our asset lives near the top, and there's plenty of separation between them. Later in the series, we will turn this into a much more sophisticated asset storage system. Of course, the flash doesn't understand PNG files. Ultimately, it just stores bytes. So we're going to start with a 32 by 32 PNG that you can create in any pixel art software such as Sprite, or use the free browser-based Piskel at piskelapp.com. I wrote a small Python utility that converts that image into RGB332 format. RGB332 gives us 3 bits of red, 3 bits of green, and 2 bits of blue, all packed into a single byte. Since our sprite contains 32 times 32 pixels, that's 1024 pixels, and because each pixel requires 1 byte, our binary file is exactly 1024 bytes. We also reserve 0 as our transparent value, so transparent areas of the PNG don't appear as part of the sprite. The Python program also calculates a checksum. Our Verilog controller calculates the same checksum after loading the sprite, giving us a simple way to verify that the correct 1024 bytes actually made it from flash into the FPGA. You might wonder why we're bothering to copy the sprite into block RAM. Why not just read every pixel directly from flash as VGA needs it? The problem is timing. VGA continuously needs pixel data at a predictable rate. We don't want every pixel request to depend on completing an SPI flash transaction. Instead, we do the relatively slow operation once. At startup, our controller reads all 1024 bytes from flash and writes them into BRAM. Once that's complete, the flash has done its job. From then on, the VGA renderer reads the sprite from fast on-chip memory every frame. This is a very common idea in digital systems. Use non-volatile storage to hold your assets, then cache the data you actively need into faster working memory. Load once, read fast, and display smoothly. Now we need to get two different things into the same physical flash device. First, we have a bit stream generated by Vivado. That's the FPGA configuration, and it goes at address 0. Second, we have spaceship.bin, which contains our 1024 bytes of RGB 332 pixel data, and that goes at address 3F0000. Vivado's write_cfg_mem command lets us combine those into a single MCS configuration memory file while specifying exactly where each component belongs. We then use Hardware Manager to erase, program, and verify the flash device using that MCS file. So we're not embedding the spaceship into our Verilog, we're explicitly placing it into a separate region of the flash address space. And that distinction is important because later we could replace the sprite or add many more assets without redesigning the basic flash reading architecture. And here's the entire process from beginning to end. We create our own 32 by 32 PNG sprite. Our Python utility converts that image into a 1024 byte RGB 332 binary file. We generate our FPGA bitstream in Vivado, then package the bitstream and sprite data together into an MCS file. We program that image into the flash memory and configure the Basys 3 to boot from QSPI flash. At power up, the FPGA loads its configuration from flash. Then our own Verilog controller takes over, reads the 1024 sprite bytes from address 3F0000 and stores them in the block RAM. Finally, our FPGA hardware reads that block RAM and puts our sprite on the screen. Picture to binary, binary to flash, flash to block RAM to VGA. That's the entire pipeline. Now, to undertake this project yourself, you'll want to go to GitHub and download all the project files and then put them in a folder that you can easily access. I put mine on the desktop and I called it Flash Part 4. And you will see all these files in here. And here's the sprite. This is the spaceship I created in Sprite, and it must be 32 by 32 pixels to work for this project. But if you want to create your own sprite, you can. And just replace it in this file here. Now, from here, we want to convert the PNG into the .bin using this Python program, which you can see I have opened right here. Okay, this Python program converts that PNG into a bin, and you will want to take this command and copy it and put it onto your command line. Well, after you navigate to the correct folder. So I'm using PowerShell. I open my command line, it looks like this. So I needed to use the cd command, which stands for change directory. Whoops, and go into my desktop. Whoops, I can't spell. Desktop. Then I need to change directory into that folder called Flash Part 4. And Windows is not case sensitive, so you can just put all lowercase. And then once you're in that folder, you hit the dir command and you can see all the files in the folder. And now from here, we can paste in that command that I copied from this Python file. And go ahead and press enter and run the command. Now it's very important. The checksum is reported from that Python file right here. And it's very important that you set this up. So what I can do is copy this. So in PowerShell, if you highlight it and press enter, you can copy it or just remember what it is. And then open up the Flash Sprite loader file and come down to where it has the checksum under where it says important. And we need to put that checksum in here. So for my particular Sprite spaceship, it's CAFA. If you use a different Sprite, you'll have a different checksum and you will need to update this in this file or the project will not work. Okay, from here, I'm going to go ahead and create a new Vivado project and add all those Verilog files and XDC files. But I'm also going to store it in the same exact folder. I'm going to give it the same exact name as the folder on my desktop. It's RTL project, no sources. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, Basys 3. And finish. Right, now we have all our design sources. We need to add that one constraints file from that same folder. And now the project is set up. And just a quick look at the XDC. We have the clock button C for reset, done and pass signals, which were used for debugging. Here's our SPI lines and the VGA stuff and all the stuff down here for the SPI that's in the new Basys 3 XDC. Now from here we can go ahead and just generate the bit stream, and once that's done we'll come back. Alright, once the bit stream is generated, we're not going to open the hardware manager yet. We're going to close this window. Now let's go back to that folder. Now, if you'll see the method behind the madness here, everything is in one single folder, and we can go, and what we need to do is go into our runs folder, up to the implementation, and find that .bit file right here, and copy it. Copy it, go back up to the main folder, and paste it in here. And now, this is where this TCL command file will come in, which I have open right here. And this file will create the .mcs file using the .bit file and the .bin file that was generated from the Python program to generate the memory configuration source. Now notice the name. If you had put your folder and named it something else, so you have to update the path for your operating system to where these files are located. Mine are both in here. So now what I can do is we want to copy this command. So I can just hit edit, select all, copy, go back into Vivado, down here to the TCL console, and paste that command and hit enter. And it says that it was completed successfully. And if you go back to the folder, you can see that we now have a .mcs file. So now that we have that, we can come back to Vivado and open the hardware manager. And plug in your FPGA, open the target and auto connect. And then we need to select the FPGA device, which is this right here. Right click on it and click Add Memory Configuration Device. And we all should know by now what the part number is, MX25L3273. And there it is. We want to select that, click OK, and come up here and select that .mcs file for our image. Make sure we have Erase Program Verify, click Apply, and OK. Alright, once that's done, we can go ahead and program the device. I have the Basys 3 in JTAG mode, which we need to be in on the JP1 jumper to program it. And now I will show you it working. Alright, got the Basys 3 sitting here, and you can see my Sprite is being displayed on the VGA screen. And so that's great and everything, but just programmed it up in JTAG mode. I'm going to power it off and switch this to QSPI, power it back up, and we should see it come back. Alright, now jumper 1, JP1 is up in the QSPI position. Repower on the board. And the Sprite is booting up from flash. Not only the Sprite, but the configuration data as well that puts the Sprite on the screen. So now that we can read useful data from the flash, where do we go next? In part 5, we're going to turn things around and learn how to write data to the flash chip using our own Verilog SPI controller. Writing to SPI NOR flash is a little more involved than reading from it. Before we're allowed to program anything, we first have to send the write enable command 06 hex. Then we'll introduce the page program command 02 hex, which allows us to program data into a page of flash memory. But we can't just assume the programming operation finishes immediately. The flash needs time to physically program its memory cells, so we'll also learn how to use the read status register command 05 hex and monitor the write in progress bit until the operation is complete. Once it finishes, we'll read the data back using the same read command we use in part 4 and verify that what we stored is exactly what we get back. So our complete sequence will be write enable, page program, poll the status register, read the data back, and verify it. Part 4 proved that we can read useful data from the flash. In part 5, we're going to prove that we can write to it. I'll see you in part 5.